Hi there! Welcome to the third and final installment of our presentation on the Japanese American Confinement Size Grant Program. In the first installment, we covered the origins and purpose of the JAX Grant Program. In the second installment, we looked at some projects that were completed and grants that were awarded last year. We are now entering the next application cycle, so we've asked a former grant recipient to provide some advice on how to make your application the best it can be. If you want to apply for a grant, new application materials will be available on our website in late summer or early this fall. This slide shows the front page of our website at www.nps.gov/JACS. Applications will be located in the second tab on the left-hand side titled Applications and Instructions. Last year's application is currently posted on the website as a reference. This is a rare color image showing Minidoka incarcerees eating in a mess hall. We anticipate applications for the new grant cycle will be available on September 9, 2020, with the deadline for applications following 2 months later on November 9, 2020. Applications must be received by the application deadline. Funding is an important part of conservation and education. Since the first grant cycle in 2009, the JAX Grant Program has helped fund nearly 250 projects that preserve and interpret the history of Japanese American incarceration during World War II. These projects cover a wide range of interests, so we would like to highlight a few that showcase the diversity of their achievements. In 2014, a nonprofit organization called Visual Communications received a grant of more than $89,000. They produced a documentary that captures present-day efforts to preserve barracks located near Heart Mountain in Wyoming. The project expands on a book that author and director Sharon Yamato wrote 20 years earlier. This black and white photo shows camp survivor Takashi Hoshizaki standing in front of a barrack. Coils of barbed wire in the foreground frame the image. Last year, the Japanese American Association of New York received $80,000 to collect oral histories from Japanese Americans who were confined in New York City during World War II. Documentation will also capture the post-camp life in Japanese American communities on the East Coast. In this photo, a small camera crew prepares for an interview with Lillian Mukai, who is sitting on a chair in the center of a living room. In 2018, the University of Colorado Denver received $37,000 for Phase 2 of their 3D digital documentation project. The university used light detection and ranging technology, also known as LiDAR, to document the landscape and building foundations at Amache. This will be used to develop a 3D model of the camp. In the scan, orange, yellow, and green lights indicate landscape features of the camp against a black backdrop. Last year, the Tuna Canyon Detention Station Coalition received $54,000 for Part 2 of its Legacy project. The coalition will collect at least 25 new oral histories of Tuna Canyon detainees. Since there are no living survivors at this facility, the project will videotape interviews with descendants. Mary Noda Oyama is a lively centenarian descendant of Ishimatsu Noda, who was a farmer that was detained at Tuna Canyon during World War II. Mary is pictured here with her son John. This group photo shows over 70 descendants who have gathered to honor their fathers, grandfathers, and other men imprisoned at Tuna Canyon. In 2018, the Anaheim Public Library received a grant of almost $39,000 for an exhibition at the Museum and Cultural Center. It was titled, "I Am an American, Japanese Incarceration in a Time of Fear." The exhibition featured personal testimonials, artifacts, a barrack room, and memorabilia, with a focus on Japanese American pioneers in the city of Anaheim and the historic Post and Relocation Center in Arizona. Visiting the exhibit from Washington, D.C., JACL Executive Director David Inoue stands in a structure that loosely imitates life in the barracks. Several cots are lined up against a wall, with a small table and a dresser on the opposite side. In 2011, the University of Arkansas at Little Rock received over $220,000 for Phase 2 of its conservation project of the Rower Cemetery. This cemetery is the final resting place of 24 people who were incarcerated at Rower, and is one of the few remnants of the camp. This photo shows 2 craftsmen restoring details at the base of a monument. This historic photo shows a large group of Japanese American incarcerees and service members posing in front of a monument with a star on top. A handful of gravestones are decorated with flowers in the foreground. Speaking of servicemen, this Purple Heart Medal was awarded to Tom Arai during World War II. It was found in the archives of the Chicago Japanese American Historical Society. In 2011, the Society received a grant of $5,000 to organize, catalog, and upgrade storage materials for its collections. This helps protect artifacts for future generations and makes the history of Japanese American resettlement of Chicago more accessible. In 2017, Densha received a grant of $208,000 to create a teacher training workshop model that connects Japanese American World War II incarceration with the racial discrimination of other groups. Drawing on oral history interviews, the curriculum examines racism as told by Japanese American, African American, and American Muslim individuals. 24 workshop participants stand for a group photo. And here, Densho staff pose with Khizr Khan at Seattle's 2018 Day of Remembrance event. Mr. Khan is a lawyer and Gold Star father who has spoken out against Islamophobia. For those interested in applying for a JAX grant, we've asked Densho to provide some useful tips that may help you with your application.
Hi, my name is Tommy Ketta, and I'm the Executive Director of Densho. I want to just spend a couple of minutes with some thoughts about the Japanese American Confinement Sites Program of the National Park Service. Since the beginning of the program in 2009, Densho has been awarded 15 grants from this JAX program. And so needless to say, these grants have been a tremendous help in preserving and sharing the World War II Japanese American incarceration. But today I want to share some ideas that have helped Densho design our JAX projects over the years. So first, let me share a screen. And so what you're seeing is the home screen of the Densho digital repository. And the reason I want to show this screen is this actually represents 7 or about half of the JAX awards that we've received over the last 11 years. A couple of the grants really focus on the building of this. So the first one was the initial build, and then several years later, we did another grant to enhance it with more features. The other 5 grants were to really help populate the repository with really good content. Examples being, for us to conduct and digitize oral history interviews, to digitize large photo collections or documents, newspapers. So what we can say today is we have about 1,000 in-depth video recorded oral histories, as well as close to 100,000 photographs, documents, letters, newspapers, all available from this. And so, the point I'm trying to make here is it was possible to do a very complex and complicated project that took 11 years with the JAX program. But the important thing was to remember, we broke it down into these small steps. So each project, what we tried to do was to keep it very simple and doable within the 2-year JAX project timeframe. The next thing I want to talk about as I look at this screen is to let people know that the majority of the content in this repository actually comes from other organizations and institutions. And that brings up the point of collaboration. I think something that we've learned that is very powerful is to work with others. Others have incredible work, content, and if you begin to work with it, that can really enhance your project. So collaboration is key, which also, when you collaborate, you do find out what existing work has been done out there. So my other advice to people is don't try to reinvent the wheel. Find out what's already been done, and if possible, try to enhance or build upon what people have already done. Don't try to just do it by yourself. So let me summarize some of the things I've said. First, keep your proposals simple and easy to complete within 2 years. Always think about collaboration as ways to enhance your project. Don't reinvent the wheel. So look to ways to build upon or leverage the work already done. And then finally, and I think this goes without saying, the National Park Service has done a really great job of compiling lots of instructions and information for us to create these projects. So my suggestion is really read carefully the instructions. And furthermore, don't be afraid to ask for help. In particular, I want to acknowledge Tom Leatherman and Kara Miyagishima, who have held our hands for the last 11 years. And they're really there to help us succeed. And so if you ever have any questions or problems, feel free to reach out to them. And so in closing, I just want to say, good luck on your projects. Good luck with writing your proposals. And as always, if there's anything I or Densho can do to help, feel free to reach out. So again, thank you.
That concludes our presentation on the JAX Grant Program. But before we go, we would like to thank Japanese American Memorial Pilgrimages for their incredible partnership. The virtual pilgrimage has significantly transformed online programs for the National Park Service. Many of the programs featured in the pilgrimage, including the pilgrimage itself, were funded by the JAX Grant Program. We are excited to have a platform where audiences around the world can appreciate these projects and the great work that has been completed through this program. This image shows the front page for the Japanese American Memorial Pilgrimages website. We hope that you enjoy the rest of this summer's programs. If you would like to learn more about the JAX Grant Program or see our most recent newsletter, you can visit our website at www.nps.gov/JACS. If you are interested in applying for a JAX grant, feel free to reach out to one of our staff. To call Kara Megashima, dial 303-969-2885. To call Rachel Franklin Weekly, dial 402-661-1928. To call Tom Leatherman, dial 510-778-4171. Photo credits include Densho, Chicago Japanese American Historical Society, City of Anaheim, photo by Patty Hirahara, Kinko Constructors, Moving Walls Project, photo by Stan Honda, National Park Service, Yamaguchi Collection, New York Japanese American Oral History Project, photo by Stan Honda, Tuna Canyon Detention Station Coalition, University of Arkansas at Little Rock, University of Colorado Denver Center of Preservation Research.